In this video, I will be comparing Raven and Cyclops to find out which hero is better in different situations and overall. And what we're gonna do is, we shall try and find out which hero is better for the team and which hero is better to use when you're playing alone. And then we shall finally decide which hero is the better hero overall. And without wasting any time, let's get straight into the video. Now starting off, we are going to look at 6 different categories in which we shall compare these two heroes. And the first is health and armor. Now when it comes to health and armor, I decided to remove all the gears equipped on these heroes so that we can get the default values of health and armor without any bonuses from the gears. All the comparisons I'm going to do in this video series will be for the heroes at divine level. So Cyclops has health of 1472 and Raven has a health of 698. Cyclops then has armor of 1840 and Raven has an armor of 582. So in this category, obviously Cyclops beats Raven because he just has more HP in terms of health and armor and takes a much longer time to die compared to Raven, who is a very small SMG. We now proceed to the second category, and here we have damage. And specifically in this category, we are going to be comparing their damage per magazine. So this is the damage that they would do if they emptied their entire magazine into a hero. In the case of Cyclops, he carries a shotgun, as we all know, and shotguns work in such a way that each bullet is made up of a number of pellets, and each of those pellets does a given amount of damage. Now the damage that you see listed here for Cyclops is the damage per pellet, and each bullet contains 6 pellets. This information about pellets is information I gathered from Ken Ali, the same person who provided us with the base armor penetration values for the various heroes. And these are values that were obtained from the developers. So I trust him with this, and he says each shotgun bullet for Cyclops has 6 pellets. Now, the damage per pellet is 191 as shown, and if each bullet has 6 pellets, and Cyclops' magazine has 12 bullets in total, when you do the math, it comes down to a total damage of 13,752. That's from my calculations. Anyone can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. And then for Raven, his base magazine without any gears is 15 bullets, and his damage per bullet is shown to be 304. So when you do the math, his total damage per magazine comes down to 4,560, which is much less than Cyclops's. In fact, it's not even half of the damage that Cyclops does with his entire magazine. So in this category, Cyclops wins again. It just simply does much more damage than Raven. For the next category, we have the healing abilities. And in this case, Cyclops has the ability to restore both health and armor to all nearby allies over a period of 8 seconds. And he basically restores 90 health and armor per second for 8 seconds. But in the case of Raven, he cannot restore health and armor to his allies, and he can only heal himself. And even when he heals himself, he cannot restore armor to himself. And then the other difference between these two abilities, Cyclops cannot shoot while he's healing, whereas Raven can shoot while healing. He just cannot shoot for the first half a second when he's activating the ability, but after that he can shoot. And the other difference here is Raven's healing ability gives him a speed boost, so it allows him to move 30% faster. And this applies to all SMGs. Cyclops does not get that advantage. On Cyclops' side, when the healing is interrupted or finished, it restores an additional 200 to Cyclops himself and the allies, provided they are close. Whereas with Raven, he doesn't have that advantage. But one final point that we note here is Cyclops carries 3 charges and begins off with 1 charge, whereas Raven carries 4 charges and starts with 0 charges. The cooldown is 10 seconds for both abilities, but Raven's ability takes 30 seconds to replenish, whereas Cyclops' ability takes 50 seconds to replenish. Now in this category, Raven's ability is very important for him because it allows him to move faster, and that speed boost is very important for SMGs. Anyone who plays SMG heroes knows that that speed boost makes a very big difference in battle. And on the case of Cyclops, his healing is very good for the team. So if you're playing in a team and you have Cyclops on your team, he can restore health and armor at a very fast rate to himself and all the allies. So that's, beneficial for that team. So in this case, we can say Raven's ability is good for him, very good for him and very important, whereas Cyclops' ability is very important for the team. So in this category, I would say it's a tie. We proceed to the fourth category, and this is their third ability. Now, Cyclops' third ability is called Invader, and the way it works is, on hitting an enemy, the enemy's firing range is reduced by 50% and their vision range is reduced by 45%. This means that the enemy is basically unable to see half of his vision range, half of his default vision range is not available to him. And he also cannot shoot back at Cyclops because his firing range is reduced by half. Now this is very, very dangerous. You don't want to face Cyclops when this ability is activated and is continuously shooting at you. Now in the case of Raven, on hitting an enemy, his weapon aimed fire range is increased by 120. So this means even if the enemy tries to get away, Raven will instantly have a much longer aimed range and will have a higher chance of continuing to hit the enemy and take them out. Now in this category, I think Cyclops' ability is better than Raven's ability that increases his aimed range. And that's it for that. We proceed to the fifth category, and here we look at their fourth abilities. Now the fourth ability for Cyclops is called Siege Expert. And in this case, on killing an enemy, all nearby enemies within a range of 300 are blinded and they can't shoot for 1.3 seconds. Whereas in the case of Raven's fourth ability, called Tactician, on killing an enemy, all enemies within a range of 400 are disarmed and cannot shoot for 3.5 seconds. Now 3.5 seconds is a very long time if you're facing an enemy, and if you can't shoot during that time, it's very, very dangerous for you. So in this category, I would say the Tactician with Disarm is a much better ability than the Siege Expert. So for this category, Raven wins. And then we proceed to the sixth category. And in this category, we are looking at the passive abilities that these two heroes give to their teammates who are close to them. And first of all, we look at Cyclops. His passive ability to teammates is that he gives them an increase of 55% to their movement speed when aiming. Now, I explained movement speed when aiming in the previous video. That was the video about how weapons work in Bullet Deco. I will link that video in the description, or you can find it in your top right corner. But basically what it means is the enemies do not move faster, but it just allows them to remain aimed without having to stop moving or to slow down so much. So they can basically move at a reasonable speed while their guns are aimed. Now when they are close to Cyclops, that speed at which they can move when their gun is aimed is increased by 55%. And this happens all the time, as long as they are within a range of 400. Now in the case of Raven, as long as the allies are close to him within a range of 400, they gain an increase in their firing range and their aimed firing range of 55. So that means heroes like snipers and assault rifle heroes, even tanks in some cases, they benefit a lot from being close to Raven because their firing range is increased. Even their aimed firing range is increased by 55, and this lasts for 3.5 seconds. Now in this case, Raven's ability is much better because there are so many heroes that can benefit from that extra range and I believe the range is more important than your movement speed when aiming in most of the situations. So in this case, Raven wins. I guess that's it for the comparisons, and now we proceed to the final part of the video where we shall have the final verdicts. Now, in the category of best hero for the team, there's only one clear winner here, and that is Cyclops. If you can restore health and armor to your teammates very fast as they take damage, this is very good. And then for the category of best hero for playing solo, in this category, Raven is a clear winner because he has so many benefits to him which allow him to be very dangerous when he's alone. The disarm ability is one of them. This ability can allow him to take out a full team in very devastating fashion. And on top of that, his healing ability gives him that 30% speed boost, which is very important when you're playing alone. But for the overall better hero between these two heroes, I would go for Raven. Yes, Cyclops is very good for the team, but if you take into account both the team play and the solo play, and you take into account all factors, the overall better hero here is Raven. So I would say if you had to choose a main hero and you wanted to choose between Cyclops and Raven, I would advise you to choose Raven. He's a much better scanner between the two scanners. Feel free to leave your opinions below in the comments, and any questions or corrections for any mistakes I might have made, you can also leave them below in the comments. With that said, thanks for watching, stay tuned, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.